Popular culture is a general collection of ideas and perspectives that are spread within a culture. Its most important categories are entertainment, fashion, technology, and slang. Now, for example, popular entertainment consists of scientific movies and fantasy books. Popular culture has changed a lot since the 90s, and in the next video, we're going to show you how.
The 20th century was a time of great social and cultural change. It started with the creation of 7-inch disc in Canada. Musical and sound instruments were being developed to improve the quality of sound instruments. More entertainment improvements were taking place. In 1902, the French director Georges Méliès created A Trip to the Moon. It was the first science fiction movie. 2 years later, in 1940, the play Peter Pan was debuted in England. It became so important that we can still see its present today. In Asia, cultural movements were also taking place. In 1906, theatrical movements in Japan called Shinjeki shook theater as it was known. It was the opening of Occidental plays.
The Japanese Kaoru Osani was a great supporter of this movement in theater. In 1907, he published the Shinshiku series, introducing modern dramas from the Occident to Japan. Another important leader was Otohiro Kawakami. In 1908, he established 2 institutions that implemented Western style in Asian arts. But arts modernization doesn't stop there. In 1910, throat music was created. It originated as translation of Western and Japanese popular songs. In China, the modernization of fashion took place. Trends inspired by prostitute style popularized. It's known as the era of relief in clothes.
In 1911, in Russia, Konstantin created the Stanislavski method. It was a method that improved acting. 2 years later, in 1913, the French director Louis released the film Fantomas. It was one of the first films to end the cliffhanger and became an inspiration for suspense films. In 1914, Charles Chaplin, the most famous comedy actor, debuted in Hollywood with his distinguished character Charlotte. At the same time, but in France, Coco Chanel inaugurated her first boutique. She revolutionized high culture and represented her want for gender equality with her gowns.
2 years later, in 1916, the first animated film in Japan was created. It started a new form of art that grew in Japan and worldwide. Simultaneously, Charles Chaplin was creating a 12th surreal comedy. He now is an inspiration for every current comedian actor. In 1917, Luigi Pirandello, the revolutionary theater director, presented the play Right You Are, If You Think So. This play defined the style of Pirandello. In 1920, China received the jazz style from Western influence. Jazz became very popular. It created a new style known as shaduki.
At the same time, in Argentina, more cultural advances were made. The first radio transmission with the objective of entertainment took place, and this led to many others, like the BBC in 1922. The BBC started broadcasting for radio. It later became one of the more respected news channels in the world. Even today, it broadcasts worldwide news. 1 year later, in 1923, the Charleston music became popular in the US. It broke the moral teaching of anterior generations and has signs and it made rebellious dances. In 1928, Walt Disney created Mickey Mouse.
The same year, the third animation of Mickey Mouse was debuted. The cartoon became so popular that even in this century, it amused young generations. In 1930, Mambo Hair, American fashion designer, opened his own fashion house. He balanced simplicity and elegance so accurately that his fashion stores are still important. In 1935, Humphrey Bogart starred in the famous movie The Petrified Forest, which helped him become the symbol of black and white cinema. The same year, in England, Laurence Olivier became famous for his Shakespearean act. He was one of the first actors to interpret plays in a more personal and psychological way.
As you can see, entertainment suffered major changes at the beginning of the 20th century.